There's not many books that I can describe as having truly changed my life, but The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron is one of those books. So in this video, I wanted to share my experience and what benefits you can expect to receive if you decide to do The Artist's Way. If we haven't met yet, my name is Rachel and I'm a full-time copywriter and editor. And on this channel, I talk about writing, creativity, and making money online. So if any of those topics are of interest to you, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so for those who don't know, The Artist's Way is like a cult classic book in the world of like creativity and self-help. And it was first published way back in 1992, and it is still very popular today. And basically what it is, it's a 12-week course that is designed to help people reconnect with their creativity, essentially. It's to help people get unblocked and live a more creative life. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about how I discovered The Artist's Way and my experience when I first did the book. Now, I first discovered it maybe 10 years ago, I think, when I was in my early 20s. And it was recommended to me by my boyfriend at the time. And he suggested that I check it out, and I did. And it was amazing. Let's rewind a little bit. So before I did The Artist's Way, I would probably describe myself as someone who was very lost and a bit directionless, especially in terms of a career. I've always been someone that wanted to have some kind of creative job. I definitely knew that I didn't want to be in like the corporate world or stuck in an office in like a typical work environment. So I always knew that that wasn't for me, and I wanted to do something creative, but I didn't know what exactly. And I also grew up in an environment where that side of me wasn't really encouraged in terms of a career path. So I was allowed to have, hobbies and stuff. But they were always, they were hobbies. They weren't really, the message I received was that wasn't a viable career path. So I sort of shut that side of myself down and didn't actively pursue anything seriously, if that makes sense. So I knew that I didn't want a traditional job, and I knew that creativity wasn't something that I could pursue as a career. So I found myself stuck in like just a series of sort of minimum wage jobs. I worked in hospitality for over a decade. And, while there's nothing wrong with working in hospitality, I knew that's not where I wanted to stay either. So I was a bit stuck and not sure what to do really. And then my boyfriend at the time told me about The Artist's Way, and I checked it out. I bought the book and I started doing it, and it changed everything. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit more about the book. So in this book, Julia describes two key exercises. The first one is the morning pages, which you're supposed to do every day, first thing in the morning when you wake up. And what they are is essentially 3 pages of handwritten journaling, and they're designed to sort of just get all the muck out of your brain and onto the paper. So, they're not really like creative in any sense. You're not like trying to write anything for anyone else to read. It's sort of just about emptying your head of whatever's on your mind. So it could be something like, I need to book a doctor's appointment, or, I need to make sure that I get the groceries this afternoon. Like just, boring, everyday sort of stuff, whatever's going on in your mind. And you might find that you end up, writing about deeper stuff that's going on as well. The second exercise is the weekly artist date. And essentially you're supposed to take yourself out for a little solo adventure once a week, nobody else with you, and, do something fun or creative. So whatever sort of you feel inspired to do. So that could be, going to see a new movie, going to a gallery, going to a craft shop and picking out some paints, like just whatever sort of you feel called to do, essentially. And it's sort of a way to reconnect with your creativity and have a little bit of fun and feel your well. So aside from the morning pages and the weekly artist date, each week there are different activities that you're encouraged to do as well. So I'm just going to flip through and I'll give you a couple of examples. Okay, so here's an example of one. List 20 things you enjoy doing. So that could be something like rock climbing, roller skating, baking pies, making soup, making love again, riding a bike, riding a horse, etc. When was the last time you let yourself do any of these things? Next to each entry, place a date. Don't be surprised if it's been years for some of your favorites. That will change. This list is an excellent resource for artist dates. Yeah, essentially it's like building your self-awareness, this course. You're sort of figuring out what you actually like to do, what you don't like to do, and allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to have some fun, be creative, and not put so much pressure on yourself. And I thought, I definitely noticed the first time I did this, overall I felt more happy, more joyful. So as I mentioned earlier, before I started The Artist's Way, I was, quite lost and directionless. And by the end of the 12 weeks, I had enrolled in singing lessons. I ended up enrolling in a Bachelor of Film and Television. I did like a whole bunch of short courses on just like things that interested me. Like I did philosophy, I did psychology. I started experimenting to figure out, what was my thing. So this book was like the catalyst that got me on the path to finding a career that I found personally fulfilling. So what kind of person would benefit from The Artist's Way? I happen to think pretty much anyone would benefit from it, but especially if you're someone who, like me, is feeling a bit directionless in your career or unsatisfied in some way, or like you're repressing a part of yourself. I definitely think The Artist's Way is a great way to break through those like creative blocks and just start living a more well-rounded life, essentially. But some of the other benefits of doing The Artist's Way, I would say improving your mental health. Just the simple act of doing the morning pages every day really helps to just clear out your brain and get rid of the junk and helps you feel just like more refreshed and less overwhelmed, I would say. Secondly, I think it builds your confidence, and you may find that you surprise yourself as you go through the 12-week course and rediscover your creative side and start, doing some creative projects. And thirdly, I just think it helps you find greater fulfillment in your life in general. So by incorporating some creativity into your daily routine, you can just start to feel like you're living a more well-rounded life and a more creative life. So yeah, The Artist's Way is a book I highly, highly recommend anyone try, especially if you're feeling like you'd like to be more creative, but you need someone to give you permission. Julia will give you permission. So if you've done The Artist's Way before, I'd love to hear about your experience. Please feel free to leave a comment and I will make sure I reply to you. If you have any more questions about The Artist's Way or creativity in general, please feel free to ask away and I will answer your question in an upcoming video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.